to That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. The good bad guys of Wrestling Podcast are back talking all things of the week that was in professional wrestling. I'm Brian. Jason is here. And as Grover Washington Jr. and Bill Withers used to sing, it's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. You're reaching there for that intro, but you know what? A-Team, you can go out of the norm because Joe tends to say, make some stupid educational reference like, well, I'm the only teacher, so I'm the only one that knows what that means. So he wouldn't have got the Grover Washington reference. So we don't even know if he's a part of this anymore. He's been gone 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't even know. But I'm good. I'm glad that it's the A-Team. OG's here. So let's do this.
I'm all about that. Yeah, Joe might have went out on his high note with his like Orange Cassidy goodbye line, if you remember what it was, like freshly squeezed or something like that. And I was like, well, that's time for the show. And maybe he's just riding off into the sunset.
Well, I should have said this to him.
Shut your bitch ass up.
I mean, we can't do that this week for him. He's not here. But yes, that's exactly what we would have said. Thank you, Rock. Well, we will get to the great one in just a moment. But let's talk about the news of the day.
Oh, Jesus.
A lot of news of the day, honestly, but the most important one was the WWE releases a whole long list of names. Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, Aaliyah, Top Dollar, Elias, Riddick Moss, Emma, Ali, Shanky, Dana Brooke, Mace and Mansoor. There's a whole bunch of names on there. So, a sad day all around. A lot of talent that were let go today. Jay, your reaction on it all?
You know what? I'm not surprised. We talked about it last week as far as the merger.
Yeah.
That there were going to be some dismissals. Now, originally, I just assumed it was going to be the corporate side. I really didn't feel like it was going to be a thing, but nobody wants to see anybody lose their job. However, we've said this over the last 2.5 years when there's been a dismissal. This ain't the end of the road for a lot of these guys. The world's a lot different than it was 5 years ago. If you lost your job, oh my God, I got to get a real job. No, AEW, Impact, New Japan, the Indies. These guys can make a killing. And honestly, the people that are on this list, hardly any of them have been on TV with the exception of one or two.
Yeah.
And
Ali, Top Dollar getting squashed occasionally.
Dana Brooke has had a nice little run on
NXT
now. Yeah. And, Dolph Ziggler is probably the biggest name on this list. But again, where has he been? They've had nothing for him. So let the guy, if he goes to AEW, team up with his brother, which will be fun. Go do your stand-up comedy or just hang. I'm sure that dude is very smart with his money.
Yeah.
And he was gonna, not resign with. I think it was in the last year or so, and they talked him into it to coming back, and he did. And he was one of those guys for me that I wasn't like super sold on Dolph Ziggler until I went to NXT Stand and Deliver in Dallas 2 years ago, and I think I told you guys I was sitting like third or fourth row, and he just won me over. Him and Bobby Roode, the Dirty Dogs. I mean. There could have been more. There should have been more, but unfortunately there wasn't with that. So while it sucks, I feel like there is this isn't a dark cloud. This is a silver lining. I don't know if that's the saying or not, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, and Dolph's he's going to be completely fine. You already laid it out. He could do a AEW thing with his brother and have some fun there. As a good veteran person, and he's a guy that a lot of these people, like you said, we haven't seen on TV too much. I mean, Dolph had a hell of a career. How many people on my Twitter did I see? Well, at least we had the Money in the Bank cash in over Del Rio. Like people went nuts for that back in the day. He had moments, a lot of good moments.
I mean, that thing was like what? 13 years ago, 14 years ago?
Maybe, yes. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Now, I heard someone say today that they think the Dolph cash-in is the greatest cash-in of all time. Do you believe that? Or do you think it's still Seth?
I'd still go with Seth, but that's probably yeah. I think it's top three. Edge is first, Edge is in that mix with being the first one because no one had any clue how this was going to work. And yeah, Dolph's was amazing just because the crowd wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
And Seth was kind of an out of nowhere one that caught everybody off guard and the biggest spot that you can be in the main event of WrestleMania.
And that era of Dolph, man, could there have been a more odd pairing of Dolph, Big E, and AJ Lee? I mean, how does that threesome work?
Yeah, looking back on that now, it's so that seems like a bit of a head scratcher because of obviously, Big E went on, did so much stuff, and AJ for a little bit, and then she's doing her thing now with was as a producer of WoW Wrestling, I believe. And
well, she's an executive. Yeah, she's an executive producer. She's doing commentary. She's the wife of CM Punk, and she still looks great.
Swing.
I mean, come on! Can you tell I got a new toy here in my studio? Come on!
I love it.
It's a crotch party right up in here.
Speaking of Emma. No. What about your boy Riddick Moss, man? Got some positivity on him. I know that one hurt.
I said it. You can go back onto our YouTube channel. I really felt like he could have been like Triple H. He could have been the next Triple H. And I even said that to him when I ran into him in the hotel parking lot. I think it was in December.
Yeah.
Again, another one. He wasn't being used on TV. Emma, she came back and did nothing.
Right. That one hurt for that purpose. Like, boy. But wasn't it tough for her? You sent the screenshots of the Twitter.
Oh man, her day.
My God.
Talk about a whirlwind of emotions, a barn burner, if you will. Early this morning, WWE announced that they are doing Elimination Chamber in Perth, which is in Australia, which is where she's from. And she tweeted, "It's a dream come true. I have my dream job." And then 3 hours later, don't worry about it. I got released.
Oh,
I mean, come
on. Gut punch. I felt that one. I could go, here or there with Emma. She's fine. But holy shit, was that a gut punch? I still feel bad about that one. Terrible.
And another one that I was, what sucks, Elias, a guy that did something that nobody else on the roster did. The guitar. Yeah. It was simple. It was effective. It got reaction. And I'm looking at his Twitter account right now, and I'm going to read this tweet from Elias today. From drifting onto the scene, because remember in NXT, he was just the drifter.
The drifter, yeah.
To WrestleMania with John Cena and The Undertaker. To millions around the world for years of walking with Elias. A #1 iTunes record. And this one I didn't understand. And you might be able to help me out on this, Brian. And to being my own younger brother, and it says Zeke in quotes. What's that mean?
That means Kevin Owens was right all along. He used to call it out and say, "You're Elias. You're Elias." That's what it turns out KO was right.
We saw both of them on screen together.
I know.
So it doesn't even make sense.
I have no idea how he pulled that off.
Yeah. So while traveling the world, it's been a blast. God is good. And of course, Elias is from Pittsburgh. He was known as Logan Shulo on the Indies. I think if he decides to continue wrestling, whether it's on one of the bigger promotions or in the Indies, I don't know if he'll go back to the Logan Shulo. Maybe something like Elijah Walk.
Yeah,
could be a name. I think that could be a good one. But I don't understand that. Be my younger brother. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, need some clarity on that one. I mean, when you look at this list, another one I didn't mention, Rick Boogs.
A
lot of these names, like they had a shot and had, some momentum at some point. Him and Nakamura doing their tag and their pairing, and him with the guitar and the entrance. It was a thing. It was getting over. And then he tears his quad at WrestleMania and just never found his way back with the momentum. They didn't bring back the him and Nakamura pairing. A very odd one, Aaliyah. It's odd in that apparently, like the last match she wrestled on TV was when her and I think Raquel won the women's tag titles, and she was hurt, so they had to give up the titles, and she never came back. So what a weird footnote there.
Well, I mean, she's in that whole curse situation.
Yes, clearly.
So
yeah. Is there anybody, I know we talked the obvious one of Dolph for AEW. Is there anybody else on this list that you're like, this would be a good fit here, or anything stand out on that end?
Well, I think Emma goes back to Impact.
That's a good one.
As we're recording this, it is Impact 1000 Night 2. The main event is a 10 knockout tag title, which after we got done recording last week, and we talked a little bit about Impact 1000, I watched the first part. To open Impact 1000, there was a 27-minute segment with all the women. It was like, knockout one comes out, and then two more come out, and then they say a name, and then a third one, and the fourth one. So all 10 women were in the ring at the same time, and it was a great segment. So like, she did well at Impact. She could easily go back there. Moss, since that's her boyfriend now, there's room for him there too. And again, I've said this many times, if you're not watching Impact, give it a chance. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on Impact Plus. It's free on the app. As soon as the show gets off the air on television, it shows up on the app, which is where I watch because I don't have Access TV. And if you have Access TV, obviously you can watch it there. So like, Emma going to Impact makes the most sense. Dolph, like I said, probably makes sense in AEW because of his brothers there, and he's a big name. And one that I don't think we talked about was Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah.
A lot of people online think he'd be a good fit for the BCC in AEW. What do you think about that?
I like that. I did hear that as well. And I think that's awesome. They can play off his collegiate amateur wrestling background and the whole, how he did it with Team Angle and that whole thing. Yeah. And he's a veteran. So like you can throw him in there with Mox and Danielson and not feel out of place. So right. I'm all for that. Shelton's a guy that he's been around a long, long time. So I don't think he needs to be performing every week.
Over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, remember last whatever that was when Joe tried to punk me on Raw. He failed miserably. Shelton got a huge pop because it was the 20-year anniversary of Shelton Benjamin being in WWE. So like, this guy can go. He looks great. He still looks like he does 20 years ago.
Yeah.
This isn't like a racial comment, but they say black don't crack.
Mm-hmm.
He looks the same from 20 years ago. He's just a little muscular, a little more muscly now. Technical term.
He's not dyeing his hair like he had with the gold standard. And that's probably for the best for everyone. I don't think.
It was Shelton that had his mom at ringside, right?
Shelton had his mom for a while. I met his mom.
Do
you remember? Were you there for this?
No, but I am the professional, which is why I brought that up.
Yes, nice job. Yeah, she was a comedian. I want to say her name was Thea. I don't remember the last name, but she was doing comedy in Lansing. And doing the interview, making the rounds, and I got to meet her. I remember making that comment, and she like went into character her quick moment and going like Shelton, or whatever it was.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, amazing run. Whatever and wherever he wants to go and do, I'm sure he'll be fine. He's an incredibly talented performer with so much experience. So yeah, it's a crazy day, man.
Unbelievable. And these days suck. We had a whole rundown planned for tonight with the A team. And then like I texted you today, I'm like, throw the rundown out. Yeah. Everything now is out of whack. And it's I don't know. It's just a lot. I mean, I hate the thought of people losing jobs in any level, on screen, off screen, whatever at WWE. I've got friends off screen. And luckily they're fine, for now, but who's to say they don't? Tomorrow's Friday or today's Friday. If you're listening to this, a lot of companies will do layoffs on Fridays. to hopefully by come Monday, people will have forgotten about it. And what a
Yeah.
mess.
And you never know, and it's the thing too with WWE, like they always don't like close the door. And unfortunately, a couple of these people like Emma and Top Dollar, they did get the door closed once and they came back, right? So, but it doesn't mean they couldn't do it again. Shelton's another one.
Who do you think?
That's when you talked about like how great Impact is. That's been a big place for people to go rebuild kind of how they were, like Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, like those guys, they build themselves back up to being the hot commodity and come on back. So, you never know what the future holds, I guess.
Do you think any of these releases today will be back in WWE? And if so, who?
Wow. I'm looking at the list.
I mean, I think Ali, unless he has just had enough of the jerking around with them.
Yeah.
I think Ziggler could come back very easily.
I think Ziggler, I could certainly see that one.
It's just interesting that Top Dollar got released and the other two and Hit Row didn't.
Exactly. And I was thinking too about like Cedric Alexander with Shelton, another guy who's not really on TV.
Right.
So I'm like, boy, maybe he'll get the X too, but sounds like he's safe, which is fantastic. Yeah. I'd probably start with Dolph. I mean, I don't know. I got a little small thread for Elias too, just because when he was doing his thing, pre-pandemic, it was on. It was walk with Elias. It was crowd, booing, silence your cell phones, that whole, whatever.
Remember that bit in Seattle with him and Kevin?
Oh yeah, the Sonics.
You thought
Dom or whatever? Like, oh my God!
You think Dom gets heat now, boy? You should go back and Google that if you haven't seen it. You don't know what I'm talking about. Elias, Kevin Owens in Seattle.
Yeah, that was the epitome of cheap heat, of the hometown sports team heat. Yeah, go find that. It's well worth your watch. Seattle is not. They haven't let it go that the Sonics are now in Oklahoma City.
Oh, I mean, they're going to get they're next in line. Seattle and Vegas are the next to get their whatchamacallit, their expansion teams in the NBA. Yeah. So it's only a matter of time.
Indeed. The days of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp will be back at it. Actually, shout out to Renee, because whenever they were booing and he brought up the Sonics, Renee threw out the best line of respect for Detlef Schrempf. Could have said Sean Kemp, could have said Gary Payton. No, Detlef fucking Schrempf. I laughed my head off on that one.
Yes! You think of that? Yes!
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, but yeah, that was like you said, that was part of just a huge news day. It came in waves of the Elimination Chamber announcement, like you mentioned, and SmackDown is going to be moving to USA in 2024. There's conflicting reports of the future of Raw and NXT. Some saying that this closes the door and them leaving USA. Some saying that no, they still want to get in there. So I mean, it's just something we're gonna keep an eye on and monitor. But
did they say anything about Raw and NXT as far as this SmackDown deal, or is it literally?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're like the press release said like Raw and NXT will continue on USA through 2024, and then like one media outlet said this closes the door. They're going to a new place. But another media outlet, and I apologize, but I want to say it was like the Wall Street Journal, says no, they still could re-up with Universal/USA.
Well, remember, there was an outlet that once said WWE was selling to the Saudis, and we all know how that went.
Yeah, it's all hearsay until it happens. So, but yeah, we'll have SmackDown on Fridays on USA, and for as it's been billed, prime time specials on NBC. I know Jay, you flagged that a little bit in the wording of the press release. Not quite how you thought.
Because it said it was the first time wrestling would be on network TV in prime time for NBC, but that's not true because they did something called the main event. And I know that was a while ago, but still.
Yeah.
It was in prime time because you sent the text. I was driving. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And then later on, I figured out what it was. So,
yeah.
I mean, look, it's another $1 billion deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
40% increase. They
I'm-
said over the last one.
I was at the first SmackDown on Fox. I'm hoping I'm at the last SmackDown on Fox just to complete the cycle. And
That would be great.
but I don't know where
it'll
that
be.
is. Who knows where that'll be or when that'll be? But only time will tell. So,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, a roller coaster of emotions in WWE today. So let's talk about something that happened last Friday in WWE, and that would be Friday Night SmackDown. And man, Pat McAfee was out first. Austin Theory interrupted, and then
If you smell.
you know, The Rock coming out. Of course, earlier in the day, The Rock was on Pat McAfee's radio show, video and TV show that's on ESPN as well as other properties. And, you know, they talked a lot about wrestling, including the fact that Roman Reigns was supposed to have The Rock at WrestleMania in SoFi. So much The Rock said, quote, "It was locked," which is crazy to think now. But then it was also, well, we couldn't come up on something that's never been done before. Well, there isn't much that's never been done before. And the problem I'm having with this now, who's to say Rock just ain't working? You know, everybody thought Cody was option A. Now, according to The Rock, he was option A. And then Cody turned out to be option B. Now, there's no way we'll never, ever actually know if this is real or not. But then that led to later that night, The Rock showing up on SmackDown. And, you know, Austin Theory's had quite the run of people. You know, John Cena at WrestleMania. He worked with Vince McMahon for the longest time. And now this thing with The Rock. And, of course, he had some issues with Stone Cold at WrestleMania in Dallas. But, like, you know, Austin Theory got one over on The Rock.
That's a short list.
Yes.
I thought too, when he threw the "it doesn't matter," that's, well, no matter what happens to that dude from here on out, that's a fucking feather in the cap.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. But of course, Dwayne does what Dwayne does, and he fucking says shit you can't say on TV.
No, we learned that. Thank you, censors.
This side of the arena is going to say you are, and this one's going to say an asshole. And you can't say asshole on Fox. And half the segment was bleeped out or, you know, edited, silence. So it ruined it.
Between that and the holy shit chants of the crowd, that was the first editing, which always is just a eye roller.
Now, who says I'm an asshole?
You're an asshole. Good to know, asshole.
Everything okay?
This guy's being a total dick. He's trying to steal my tampons.
I mean, Dwayne's stealing the tampons, essentially.
Unbelievable.
It's one of those things. But this happens every time he's on TV. It's always something. It is always something that, you know, you can't say on TV. And then that brings up the whole point of why say it if you know you can't say it?
Shut your bitch ass up.
Well, you can say that.
You can.
You can say that.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was the story from Brian Gerwitz, or I apologize if I'm messing the last name up. He's on Team Rock, the $7.
Yeah.
Former WWE writer. He had a book came out not too long ago about his time with it, and he talked about I don't know if it was at a house show or whatever, but he came out in LA, and where the fans were chanting CM Punk, and he called him.
That's when they filmed Finding With My Family.
That was it. Okay, sure.
You know, I'm in that movie. So
Gerwitz is in Gorilla, and Triple H kind of throws his hands up and goes like,
"We're in a fucking
lawsuit. We have a lawsuit on this guy." It's just like, he's The Rock. He's gonna do what he wants. There's not gonna be any consequences. So it sucked for the viewers at home, like you said, to have just silence. A second of audio, silence.
You are. Yeah, it was just dumb. So,
yeah,
Brian, what do you think this is going to actually lead to, or do you think it was just a one-off?
Bro, I'll tell you. When it didn't happen at 39, And in the lead up, it was like, oh, is The Rock coming out? We thought maybe The Rock would come out at Survivor Series because it was his like anniversary and MSG. So we were all excited. All we got was that big old egg that McMahon was dealing with, that precious egg.
Theory, yeah.
Yeah, with Austin Theory. And I said at some point of, the lead up when it finally made sure it wasn't happening, I said, all right, I'm done. I can't go through this for like a third fucking year in a row of, are we gonna get The Rock, WrestleMania, Rock and Robin? But bro, when he did that shit on Pat McAfee, he pulled me right back in. I'm excited. It'd be fun. There's just something to the guy. We play the clip. The first words out of his mouth, "Shut your bitch ass up," right? And the crowd goes nuts. If Ricochet or anyone else says that, people go, "Hey,
Bitch ass up.
That's it, man." And people went nuts. And so, yeah,
Bitch ass up.
if they can pull it off, I'm all for it. But yeah, I am. I'm sure I'll get tired of the runaround if we do this again. But yeah, even the tease and McAfee, boy, did he do a good job on that interview.
Yeah. I wanted
he reacted the same way.
I wanted to Rick Wall listening to them two talk. Pat McAfee is so motivating to begin with. Like all the things he does and the way he talks and the way he has approached his post-football life. And, he literally said, just because you wear a suit doesn't mean you can tell me how to do my job. And it's like an eye-opening comment.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yes,
I love that when Rock said, we're like, there's rumors about you doing Mania in LA, SoFi. What happened? And when he came out with like it was locked, McAfee got out of his chair.
Here, say this. Just say it was locked.
It was locked. Yeah, that's great because that's what any of us fans did. The same thing. That wasn't, guys sitting down with, okay, next question. That's so great.
I don't know. I'm that guy. Just let it play out. We got lots of time till April. So I don't want to fantasy book anything because I just don't. We'll let the other two, the B team, when they're back, they can talk about it if they want. But I just think that it was cool. It was awesome. It was needed. The merger was last Tuesday. SmackDown was the first event that happened after the merger on Tuesday. So you got to go big, and no bigger than The Rock and Pat McAfee. Now it looks like, Pat McAfee's a made man apparently, and he's just going to call shots and be a shot caller, it seems, because I have a feeling he had everything to do with that happening.
Yeah. They were an hour away in Boulder for game day and the show, like you mentioned. So it all came together. It was a lot of fun. I think maybe the only thing I would have done differently in the Austin Theory segment, because that's fun. It's a one-off. I would have had, as the segment ended, a shot of Paul Heyman in the back watching on the monitor with this
sideways. You have to look sideways.
Yeah, sideways, because that's how you do it. And with just this look of concern or anger, just and commentary don't say nothing. It could be 5 seconds, and then you go back to the crowd cheering for The Rock. Just a little something to put in your head of, okay, there might be something there, because everything that Rock said on McAfee, it had nothing to do with his appearance on SmackDown. It was just, hey, this is the People Show, and let's have some fun. Would you worry about Cody if we presume that it's the Mania 40 rematch in the plans? I know Dave LaGreca went on a rant on Busted Open of this disrespectful to Cody and all this stuff.
Well, it's interesting because, like I said earlier, we all thought Cody was the A plan.
Yeah.
So his comeback the week of the Rumble, and he went pretty far in the Rumble, and he won. And I don't know, man. Whether this means we get Cody Gunther at Mania, Cody CM Punk at Mania, Cody Seth Rollins at Mania. I don't know, man. Cody John Cena. I mean, fuck. I don't. It's disrespectful if it wasn't true. If Dwayne was just working,
Yes.
that's bullshit.
You're correct.
That is bullshit. If it was true, I imagine Cody knew he was on the shelf most of that year with the pec injury. So if it's not true, it's bullshit. If it was true, I have a feeling Cody knew what was going on and was fine with it.
I've seen a lot of, people have been throwing out those fantasy bookings of, what if you did Cody and Roman night 1 and Rock and Roman night 2? And
where are you seeing those?
Just regular fans on Twitter. Nothing with any credibility, just people throwing ideas out.
If it's on the internet, it must be true.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed it is. Yeah, if it were up to me, because my only thing with this whole Rock Roman fantasy world for however many years now is it doesn't need to be for the title.
Exactly.
It's for the tribal chief. It's for the head of the table. So if it's up to me and things were to happen, give me Roman and Cody at like the Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, whatever, and you do night 2 of Mania, Rock and Roman for the one true tribal chief. Cody's gotten his moment. Doesn't have to be at Mania. It's fine. It's gonna be great no matter what. And you go from there. So
you talked over my sound clip.
You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. I presume that was Samuel.
Yeah, it was Samuel Jackson.
Yeah. That was great stuff. That was a big night too for AEW on Wednesday night. They had the third edition of Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York. Jay, what'd you think of the show, man? 2 hours of a whole lot of wrestling.
So I didn't watch it live. I was setting up this wonderful soundboard that we got. It was a great show. That setting, it's New York. You start with Eddie and Claudio. Eddie, like the hometown hero, got I felt like Eddie had like a Mike Tyson like walkout.
Did you like that where they kind of going through the backstage and up the steps? I did too. That was really good.
And the match was really good too. I didn't think they were going to do it. I thought they were just going to have Claudio win. But I'm glad that they did what they did. And that's the one thing that AEW does. They really they serve their fans very well. They give the fans what they want. And especially in a situation like that, Eddie in New York. Jericho and Sammy was very predictable once they pointed out that Sammy's gear was a tribute to Jericho and Shawn Michaels. Obvious what was going to happen.
Frame by frame, yeah.
And I literally said to my TV, I was like, he's going to nut shot him. And he did, just like Jericho did to Shawn. The women's match I didn't watch. Tits up Tony Storm is pretty cool. I enjoy the tits up line. I think it's hilarious.
Watch for the shoe.
I don't know if it's tits up or tits out, but I still think it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And they, Mox and Phoenix was great. Obviously there was an issue there. Mox has a concussion today, so I don't know what that means for, the next couple weeks. Hopefully he takes a break. He's fucking fit. He still hasn't had that vacation from when he had the cover for Punk last year. And then the main event, Joe and MJF, the fucking Brett parody, lame, duh.
Okay, I wanted your thoughts on it.
The match was good. Adam, these guys fucking jumping off the ramp to the floor. Punk broke his foot last year. Cole did it again and probably broke something or fucked up an ankle. A lot of shenanigans there at the end. And, one of the things that I highlight kind of related to the main event was Roderick Strong, the hospital.
Yeah, that was a funny clip.
You're not going to die, Roddy.
I just the absurdity too of Cole showing up. Hey, Roddy, I came here as fast as I could. And 30 seconds later, I gotta go. What kind of friend are you? I don't blame them being pissed at Adam Cole. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. But that was fun. I love the Tazzy pointed out, he's like, that's a cranky hospital bed when I was doing the what?
Wonder where that hospital was.
I don't know. But yeah, I said, well, we got to put Adam Cole with his shoot injury next to Roderick Strong. I don't, I haven't heard any other update other than he had to go to the hospital. But yeah, what if he tore his Achilles to show, same as Aaron Rodgers did on his first night in New York? What the hell? Yeah. So that was those are two things I pointed out in our text group. I was like, something's wrong. I think Mox is hurt. Like the ref made a mess up something, and then yeah, he did get hurt. And then I'm like, Cole's hobbling. What? Something happened. Something did. But it was fun. I still, I also rolled my eyes at the Bret Hart kid tribute. Although I did appreciate the dad. I'm adopted. That's funny.
And was that kid sitting at ringside?
I don't remember seeing him.
There was a kid who had a scarf on, and I really feel like it was that kid.
Hopefully it was. I'll have to see that again. So yeah, it was a fun show. We'll see. They've got
I haven't read spoilers because I don't do spoilers, so I don't know what's going to happen if you're listening on Friday later tonight on Grand Slam Rampage, which is 2 hours, which means we get 2 hours of SmackDown and 2 hours of Rampage on Friday night. And I have no life, so I will literally be on front of my couch for 4 hours.
Love it. And then Barbara Ryan will be at Collision on Saturday in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
Which I think there's like a Texas death match or something. I remember them announcing.
No, it's a Grand Rapids death match.
It should be. Yeah.
And Rob Van Dam's going to be there, which is weird.
What's that?
Rob Van Dam's going to be there.
Yeah. They brought Rob Van Dam. He's the very next week is the big indie show they do in Battle Creek called Battle in the Creek, and Rob's there. So I was like, oh, they're bringing him back to back here for those shows.
Well, Battle in the Creek's an indie show, so I mean that has nothing to do with AEW. It's just AEW.
No, I know. I just thought
trying to
cannibalizing the market of Rob Van Dam here. Let's see if I can find the card because I swear there's Texas Death Match in Grand Rapids, baby. Can't wait for that.
Well, Brian, speaking of indie shows, past weekend, I did commentary for the first time on an indie show.
It's awesome.
The Renegade Wrestling Alliance, RWA, in West Newton, Pennsylvania. Now, I'd been going there forever. West Newton is the neighboring town from where I grew up. And over the years, if there was a show when I was home, I would always go. Friend of the show, Michael Doc Doherty, is the main play-by-play guy there. So he had put a word in for me, and I was just there to do some backstage stuff, some backstage interview stuff. Well, Doc had an in-ring interview segment with J-Rock, and J-Rock didn't want to be interviewed. And needless to say, J-Rock hit Doc with a clothesline from hell. And Doc could not call the main event. And I got just said, they were like, Jason, go. You got to get to the table. So I got to call the main event of Patrick Hayes against the Rev Ron Hunt for the RWA Heavyweight Championship, which was on paper going to be a classic, no doubt. But Patrick Hayes' bodyguard, Johnny Norris, got involved and essentially cost Hayes the match only 7 minutes into the match.
Okay.
Hayes was calling Norris names, and Johnny Norris is a big dude. And then the Rev Ron Hunt got back up on his feet, and he went after Norris. And then Hayes started attacking Rev for attacking Norris. And then Dennis Gregory made the save. And then it turned into a tag match. Rev Ron Hunt and Dennis Gregory, who is a Pittsburgh legend in professional wrestling, against Patrick Hayes and Johnny Norris. And in the match, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how the match ended. You can watch it on indiewrestling.us. You can rent it or buy it VOD. And it was a great time. I had so much fun. I worked with Tony Kincaid, who is the color guy, but he did play-by-play and I did color while Doc was at a local medical facility. So Doc, if you're watching this, get well soon. And the next show is October 14th. And I don't know if they're going to need me for anything or if Doc's going to be back, but it was so much fun. And always support independent wrestling wherever you are. listening to this or watching on YouTube, go find an indie show in your town because they are so much fun. So yeah, it was my debut.
How did it feel when you had to go up and do that? What did you have, the nerves, or you're feeling confident?
You know, it was one of those things where, you know, it was my first time backstage and being there, but I'd been going on and off for years. And because Doc's a good friend, I kind of knew some of the people involved and what was going on. And, you know, Tony led the way, man. Tony Kincaid did a great job. And he's not even a play-by-play guy. He's a color guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he has issues with the Rev Ron Hunt. A few months back, Rev speared Tony on the floor, and Tony's been in a neck brace for like 6 months now. It's crazy.
Oh, so, he's the original Roderick Strong.
Quite the story. So I'll try to post a couple clips from my debut on our show socials and mine at TWP Jason underscore TWP Jason. So yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's very cool you got to do that. I know too you checked out, you get to give us the info on if this is worth checking out, but the brand new look at OVW on Netflix. And for those, I'm sure they cover it at the very beginning, I'd imagine, but you know, OVW for guys like us our age, that was NXT before NXT. It was a development territory for WWE, bringing in Brock Lesnar, Cena, Shelton Benjamin, Batista, Orton, all these guys. You had to go through OVW to get to WWE in that like late 90s, early to mid 2000s time. So already, you know, it piqued my interest of just like, wow, OVW, it's still around. It's still a thing. And you got to check it out.
Yeah, I watched all 7 episodes last weekend. Did not have a life last weekend other than the
you were watching wrestling, or you were commentating on wrestling?
Yeah, so the rest
all day 24/7 champ over here.
So Al Snow is the co-owner of OVW, and what this series goes over is last summer they did a run of 30 shows throughout the summer all over Kentucky. And believe it or not, I'm in the show. It's on IMDb. They were at Ric Flair's last match because they were in Nashville when we were there.
Oh, sure.
But they actually did some filming because Al and his wife went to the show. This is it's, you know, they do live TV every Thursday in Louisville. So like it's, you know, it's TV wrestling, and it's also a school. You know, it's a wrestling school as well, and right. It's a great series. Without giving too much away, just if you like wrestling and you want to see what it's like to set up shows, to run a school, and to find out what it really takes to make those shows happen, because it's not just throw up a ring and jump around, because there's, you know, it's a financial thing, it's a legal thing, it's a, you know, promotion and marketing thing. Like it's a pretty great series. It's 7 episodes, and there are some familiar names and some new ones that apparently now are starting to get some looks at the WWE tryouts. Haley J is she's one of the main stars, and I think we'll probably be seeing her in NXT real soon. So give it a chance. Wrestlers on Netflix. It's 7 episodes, 7 hours over the course of, you know, watch it over a week, one a day.
Yeah.
And, you'll be pleasantly surprised. I still have to finish Heels season 2. I've only seen the first episode of this season, and it just ended. So you know, another weekend of no life, having Jason to be watching Heels with my friend Stephen Amell, who I sat next to at WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, you'll have to see if you can fit that in, because next weekend we have NXT No Mercy. I believe that's
Saturday, and Wrestle Dream is on Sunday.
Wrestle Dream's on Sunday, yeah. So we've got the back-to-back PLE PPV thing going on next weekend. So, you know, we talked some amazing highlights. We talked some unfortunate news, but the one thing that's constant is the wrestling world always goes on, man. It there's no off season. There's always something, a show or news or a signing or a firing. There's always something with the wrestling business. And It just.
But what really sucks is when, 2 of the 4 members of this show don't show. Just bad times. Kevin, Joe, come on, guys.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Summer vacation's over. It's time to get to work.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't just ride off into the sunset on some Orange Cassidy line. He's not even showing up anymore. Come on. Come on back home.
Hey,
Go back home.
hold on. Hey, Joe. Where'd it go?
Shut your bitch ass up.
This soundboard's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be, whether it's going to be the coolest thing ever, the worst thing ever.
Where all the white bitches at?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my.
You do?
Yeah, let's see one more here.
You're like the loudest climaxer I've ever heard. It was like the sound of like a 30-year-old sprinkler finally going off for the first time.
Wow. Yeah, I'm leaning toward best thing ever. I'm excited for it.
And then for Kevin.
That's great. Since you were
Oh, stop it. All right, let's try this again. For Kevin.
a virgin through high school.
Oh, we're not going to do that one. So the
Working
way,
out the kinks, folks.
yeah, working out the kinks.
Yeah.
Pump my own gas.
Yeah, I don't even pump my own gas.
Heidi ho, ha ha ha.
Little Chucky action. And
Name is it? What are you trying to be, an Irish R&B singer?
God damn it. So I guess when you play something, it has to play all the way through, or pause. It's like a pause.
What kind of a stupid?
I see.
Trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
Yeah, let's try that one more time.
What kind of a stupid name is that? What are you trying to be, an Irish R&B singer?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
Yeah, I love this stuff.
Yeah, they do.
If it's internet, it must be true.
This is incredible. What a package.
Yep. Okay, I'm done now.
No, we're not. We're just getting started, folks. Enjoy the new era of That Wrestling Podcast with amazing sound effects. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. YouTube.com/That Wrestling Podcast. At That WrestlePod for all the social media. Whatamaneuver.net for your That Wrestling Podcast merchandise. Make sure you join us next week. Like I said, we'll preview a little bit of No Mercy and Wrestle Dream. Who knows who'll be on the show? Maybe both of us, maybe none of us. Maybe the guys who don't be here, maybe they'll come back home. That's what happens with us. We keep you on your toes. But as always, enjoy wrestling. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching That Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for more That Wrestling Podcast content, follow @ThatWrestlePod on social media.